So, I have a bit of a confession to make. I own a Mac. And here's the other thing. I actually kind of like using it. Alright, so yeah, today we're going to be doing some Mac stuff. And we'll be doing some other Mac stuff in the future on the channel. You know, I'm not going to totally switch over to just doing Mac stuff, but, you know, it's just nice to have something to kind of change the pace a little bit from, you know, just the PC stuff all the time. So what we're doing today is going to be pretty simple, and that's basically demonstrating that a G4 Mac Mini is probably one of the best computers you could get to run Mac OS 9. Now, if you're familiar with older Macs at all, you probably will know that the Mac Mini can't actually run Mac OS 9. This was a couple years after Apple pretty much ditched all Mac OS 9 compatibility. You can kind of run Mac OS 9 on one of these, but it's really more of like a virtual machine layer kind of thing. It's not really running the OS, on the bare silicon in there. So how exactly are we going to run OS 9 on one of these things? Well, thankfully, there are some very talented people out there who have made a modded version of Mac OS 9 that will work on a Mac Mini G4. So this specific disk we have is specifically made for the Mac Mini. I know it says for unsupported Macs. I wrote the wrong thing, because this disk is based on another project which aims to get Mac OS 9 working on a variety of later PowerPC Macs. This one specifically is actually just for the Mac Mini, though. So ignore this part. This really should just say for Mac Minis. Basically, we're just going to install this onto that, and we should have a pretty powerful Mac OS 9 machine. Speaking of powerful, let's go over what exactly we got in this Mac Mini. Alright, so this is the 1.42 gigahertz G4 Mac Mini, released in 2005. It was the fastest one at launch. The other one was like a 1.25 gigahertz, I think. This isn't the fastest G4 Mac Mini. There actually was a 1.5 gigahertz version released really quietly, like just kind of as like a replacement for this version. Really, there's not that much speed difference, so this is pretty close to the fastest PowerPC Mac Mini that we have. This has been upgraded to 1 gig of RAM, which I believe is the max you can put in here, because there's only one RAM stick. That is DDR 400 megahertz, from what I remember. And we still have the stock 80 gigabyte drive. I would like to put an SSD in here at some point, but this will do for now. And as for graphics, we have an ATI Radeon 9250, and that is actually part of the reason why this is one of the few later Macs that can actually run Mac OS 9, because the last drivers ATI ever made for Mac OS 9, the Radeon 9200 is pretty much the last video chip that's supported. So which makes this a really good candidate for running Mac OS 9, and that's why, this exists, basically, because basically everything we need to make Mac OS 9 to work is here, just needs some tweaking. And of course we got a Superdrive on the front. At least I think it's a Superdrive. I know it can burn CDs. I don't know if it can burn DVDs, so. And then port selection, if you've never seen it on a old Mac Mini like this. 100 megabit Ethernet, dial-up, DVI and VGA out, so you can have native digital output if you want. 2 USB and a FireWire 400, an audio out port, and that's the power input. And this thing is very small. Like, compared to a CD, there's a reason these things were very popular. That and the base price of this was only $4.99, which was a really good deal for a Mac at the time. Of course, now the Mac Mini is crept up in price over the years, so it's kind of lost its value edge a little bit. So enough blabbing about the machine. Let's just go ahead and get this thing set up, and let's go ahead and install this thing. Alright, so we have the computer all set up. Pretty nice little compact setup, if I do say so myself. And the computer is currently running macOS 10.4 Tiger. And we're not going to be erasing this. We are actually going to be dual booting it, because I actually have this partition over here that I already made in preparation for this video. And I've chosen this monitor specifically because It's a 1440 by 900, so very high resolution, which you will see will work just fine inside of macOS 9. And you can actually use up to a 1080p monitor if you really want to. Although the OS will be kind of hard to use because the UI elements don't scale, don't scale properly. All right, so let's go ahead and stick our disk in, and then we can reboot to boot off of the disk. So we'll just go ahead and put our disk in, and now we can go ahead and restart the computer. Hold down the C key, and then from there it'll be pretty much just a normal macOS 9 installation. Like, there really won't be anything too odd about it. Like, this is really seamless. This is a really cool project that people have worked on. And we should get the Happy Mac any second. There we go. There he is. And now we're just booting into macOS 9. Alright, so this is going to take a while to boot, but as you can see, it looks pretty much just like macOS 9. Alright, and here we are on the desktop. It opened up this README file, as well as the drive setup thing, which we won't need because I already made a partition. So as you can see, this disk was actually from June of 2018. I burned to this quite a while ago, and there have been some more recent updates. However, I didn't feel like burning a newer disk, because they thankfully have made some updater files that you can just run to update it instead of having to burn a new disk, which is very nice. And so from here, it's pretty similar to a normal macOS 9 installation. We just go to the CD, and we run the Apple software restore. And then make sure we are on the right disk, macOS 9.2.2. And then we just click on restore. And go ahead and click OK. And now it's going to go by actually pretty quickly for optical media. But this will only take like a couple minutes to install it to the drive, and then we'll be good to go. And it's done. That literally only took like 3 minutes. So we just go ahead and click quit, and go ahead and restart. And I'm going to hold down the Option key so it doesn't boot into macOS 10. Because the startup disk isn't selected for macOS 9 by default. There we are. We got Macintosh HD, because that's what it renamed the partition to. I wish I knew why it takes so long to search for the drives. It's like, there's like nothing else in the computer, dude. Like, just let me select the thing and boot off of it already. Like, I have to waste like 30 seconds just sitting here doing nothing, waiting for it to go. So yeah, we're just booting into macOS 9 now. Like, as simple as that. And now we're booting into the like the first time setup thing. Now, from what I remember, this little thing is supposed to have music. And that's actually the biggest problem with this is audio. We're just gonna go ahead and quit out of this. But yeah, the biggest problem with this is the audio, because the Mac Mini's internal speaker doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It's not a great speaker, honestly, so it's not a huge loss. However, the other thing is that the audio, you can get audio out through the headphone jack. However, it's at a fixed volume. No matter how much you try to raise the volume, it's always at the same level. So ideally you'll want some sort of speaker or amp that you can change the volume on yourself. So that is one downside, is that you don't get great audio support, but at least the audio works in some fashion. You take the disc out, and I could install the updater applications, but to be honest, I couldn't really tell what the difference was. You know, it didn't seem to change the audio or anything, so I'm not sure what's up with that, to be honest. Let's go ahead and delete this thing. First thing is I need to change the mouse, because, wow, it is painfully slow. See, like, why is it on very slow? Like, what is up with this? I think normally, like, here is good. Oh yeah, that's so much better. Now I don't have to move my hand like 5 times to get across the screen. Now, as you can see, this is running at 1440 by 900. 60 hertz. I believe this monitor actually can do 75 hertz at this resolution, but it's not supported for whatever reason. We do have this little ATI menu up here, which is for our graphics chip. If we go to about this computer, we can see it is macOS 9.2. We got our 1 GB of RAM. If we go up to the Apple System Profiler, we can see we have PowerPC G4 running at 1417 megahertz, pretty close to our 1.42 gigahertz. And the model name is actually identifying as a PowerMac G4 Cube, which is pretty interesting because the Mac Mini is kind of an evolution of the G4 Cube, which, because of that model identifier, that might explain why the audio doesn't work properly, as you know, the PowerMac G4 Cube did not have any built-in audio, so that might actually be part of the problem. So yeah, running at this very high resolution, we have these really small apps and really small user interface. That's just kind of how it is. You could reduce the resolution to make it bigger, but then, you know, you're running at a lower resolution, so it's not really a fault of the Mac Mini. It's more just a thing with Mac OS 9, just not having any UI scaling. And I mean, you just kind of click around in the OS, and I think if you put this in front of someone who didn't really know like what machine it was running on, I think they'd be hard pressed to tell that this is a that this is not a computer that's supposed to run with Mac OS 9. Like, it pretty much just works fine, you know, other than the audio. This is a very usable experience. I mean, it's very snappy. I mean, I would sure hope so for how fast it is. I mean, this Mac OS 9 was meant to run on like 233 megahertz CPUs, so... Now, just showing you the OS is boring. Why don't we actually benchmark it some? Alright, so here we have Cinebench 2003. Pretty classic benchmark, at least for PCs, which actually just recently found that there's a Mac OS 9 version, so might as well run all the tests, I guess. So, let's see what this puppy can do. Now, I have ran this on a G3 iBook, a 500 megahertz one, a while ago. Let me tell you, it was nowhere close to this fast. Like, I know this looks bad in terms of frame rate, but the other one was like way worse. I'm talking like way, way, way worse. This is always such a weird test. Like, what is this thing supposed to be? Like, it's like somebody was just told, yeah, just model some stuff. I don't care. We need it for a benchmark. So, here's our scores. So we got 130 on the CPU, and then I don't really have a good reference for the graphics benchmarks, but the CPU on my 500 megahertz iBook G3, this got around like a 49. So it's a lot faster than, you know, your typical like G3 would be. So I know Macs aren't really meant for gaming, but I figured we might as well play well, one of my favorite PC games from back then, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Go ahead and crank up all these settings. There's not going to be any sound, but it's actually kind of good because I don't want to get copyrighted for Star Wars music. Now, I forget what resolution this is actually running in at the moment. I think this is 640 by 480, but as you can see right now, at least at the moment, it's running pretty well. Might have to, I think there's like a configuration file that you have to change all the settings in. And, why are the arrow keys not working? So the arrow keys aren't working for some reason. That's fun. I can use the numpad to control? I don't know why, but okay. Alright, well, at least I can use the numpad. And this is running very smooth. I would sure hope so for how new of a machine is compared to, you know, this game. Like, this game is like 6 years older than this computer. Oh, I heard it access the hard drive there, and it, like, completely lagged out. Alright, so let's see if we can go into the escape key doesn't work either. Why is this? I can't tell if it's just the game port that's like this. This also might be my bad Apple keyboard, because I have one that has a bunch of keys that don't work on it, and like an idiot, I've never differentiated them. So I think, is it in switches? Yes, it is. This is the file I'm looking for. H resolution. Now let's bump this up to. I doubt this will run at the native resolution. Well, let's try 1024 by 768. Oh, the arrow keys don't work out here either. Oh, the up arrow key works. Okay, so this is the bad keyboard. This is my bad keyboard. Save. Quit. So now we should be running at 1024 by 768. Hopefully. That does look higher res to me. Of course, the UI is going to look terrible because that doesn't scale with the resolution, but yeah, the graphics look better. You know, this game isn't as good without the sound. I really should have hooked up a speaker. So this is actually running so well, I kind of want to try 900p. Of course, I don't really have any way to measure the frame rate, because this game doesn't have any built-in frame counter. And, of course, there's no version of Fraps for macOS 9. I don't even know if it'll accept a resolution that high, to be honest. The bar looks like it did. That's it's looking pretty good to me. There's a lot of screen tearing. I don't think there was that much screen tearing before. I'm not sure if there's a VSync option that you can turn on. I didn't look at the file, but it's not quite as smooth. This is definitely closer to like 30 FPS probably. I'd say. A lot better than the N64 version, that's for sure. Yeah, oh god. It's like every time something new happens, it accesses the hard drive and then it lags. Which I don't know why, but alright. This is playable. I would probably play this at 1024 by 768. That was definitely smoother, but this is playable. Of course, you should probably just play this on PC. Alright, so I could sit here and show you a bunch of different programs and stuff like that, but you kind of get the idea. It's macOS 9 on one of those guys. So yeah, you see, it works really well. Other than the sound issues, this is a pretty good way to use macOS 9. Now, why did I say this is one of the best computers for macOS 9? Because you probably could get like a Power Mac G4, upgrade it, upgrade it, really push it to the limit, and it probably would be faster than this. But how much is that going to cost you? A lot of those old PowerPC upgrades are, you need big bucks to be able to afford those. Even nowadays, those go for at least a few $100s each, especially if you want the really high-end ones. You can get one of these guys for like $50. So this is a really good value if you want a cheap macOS 9 computer that just has a lot of performance and a really small package, pretty easy to set up, and you can run all the way up to macOS 10 Leopard on it, so you can have both a nice macOS 9 and macOS 10 computer. So yeah, that's basically gonna conclude this video. Not super complicated, just wanted to share this, make it more well known that this exists. Yeah, if you were looking for a Mac OS 9 computer, you're thinking maybe like, oh, should I get like an iBook, or should I really try to hunt down like a Power Mac or like an iMac? Why not consider one of these? This will do you pretty well. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.